Oh my gosh, the water's so high.
I don't know what I'm going to do, man. I don't want to
Okay.
lose my family.
I'm drowning.
Nothing was ever to prepare anybody for this.
Somebody in a tree in the Guadalupe screaming, hollering for help.
We're going to die.
Please help me.
We really didn't have time to process anything. It was constant.
We are missing a whole cabin full of girls.
You said you're missing an entire cabin full of girls?
Yes.
When you lose a child, you're in shock.
Of course, I wanted more time with her. We all did, but we're treasuring the memories that we have of her.
See what we can find.
We just missed it, and it was tragic.
Is there still hope?
There's always hope.
Is our way to take something horrific and turn it into something positive.
The old saying goes, time heals all wounds, but that's not really true. What time can give us is perspective.
Now, 1 year after the devastating July 4th floods in the Texas Hill Country, we're looking back, not only at where recovery stands today and the lessons learned, but most importantly, remembering the people who lost their lives and the families forever changed.
So we began with a remarkable story of two young 911 dispatchers.
They answered hundreds of frantic calls for help, many from people literally clinging to life. As Jeremy Rogowski tells us, these first responders somehow managed to remain calm.
On the Guadalupe River, all was quiet when they clocked in for their overnight shift at 5:30.
Nothing was ever to prepare anybody for this.
Riley Gordon and Samantha Dixon McCurry
is just overwhelming.
Had no idea what was coming in the hours of stormy darkness ahead.
Drop of a hat, it went from nothing to something in a matter of seconds.
Kirk County 911.
Something unfathomable.
And what's the location of the emergency?
And unforgettable.
My house is flooding. I can't go anywhere.
But I'm running out of space. I need help.
We're going to die.
A torrent of emergency calls poured in after 3 a.m.
The 911 ringtone would not stop.
And for the first hour until other dispatchers arrived, Riley and Samantha were alone.
I could hear the water breaking windows. I could hear it rushing. I could hear the panic. I could hear the cries. Like I could hear all that.
The water's already up to the 3rd floor. I can't get out.
Our RV is flooding. We're going to drown.
It was so loud that you couldn't hear yourself think.
Samantha, an out-of-towner who grew up in Pearland, had just finished her training 3 weeks earlier.
You were thrown into the fire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of my supervisors said I was thrown straight into the deep end.
Which call do you remember the most?
The call that I remember the most that messed me up the most was a gentleman that was out in Hunt.
I'm getting cold now.
Okay, I understand that. Just keep fighting, okay?
I think there's more water coming in through the window. It's getting up to my shoulders now.
The water's to my shoulders, and I'm very cold. And that was the last thing that he said to me, and I didn't talk to him again. So it left me wondering for a long time if he lived or if he died, and I didn't know.
Samantha would learn 2 months later that man did in fact survive. But for many others, they would never know. With so many calls in the queue during those chaotic early morning hours, they were not able to stay on the line for long.
At some point, you had no other choice than to disconnect.
We had to, reassure them, help is on the way. We're getting here as fast as we can. I have to disconnect to answer the next phone. That's just how we had to do it.
It wasn't easy.
It was not easy at all.
All told, Kerrville dispatchers answered nearly 500 911 calls the morning of July 4th, more than 100 of those in the 4 a.m. hour alone.
I have it tattooed on me.
Samantha inked the numbers on her arm.
It was my way of grieving. So I have a little reminder of it on me.
A reminder to never forget. 1 year later, as the serenity of the Guadalupe slowly returns, their grief endures.
I think that's the hardest part, is all the kids who passed during the event. it'll forever stick with you.
It's hard to be able to not feel guilty because sometimes it feels like I didn't do enough. Even though I did my job, I did it to the best of my ability, it feels like it wasn't enough, especially with each person who lost their life.
When the floodwaters started to recede, a massive search effort began for the missing. A year ago, Jacob Rascone spent time with the Ingram fire chief and her team. He recently went back to talk with her about what happened then and where her team is now.
I was running around here, 6, 7, 8, wishing I could be on a fire truck.
High schooler Colton Lynch can't remember a time he didn't dream of joining the Ingram Volunteer Fire Department.
I usually rock with the chief.
Yeah.
I'm trying to learn the most I can.
You trained. His mentor, Chief Diana Backus, also joined in high school more than 40 years ago. She can still remember performing rescues during the 1987 flood.
Because when something happens in our community, this is where people come. And that's what we want to be for them. I want to know that they can rely on us no matter what the situation is.
But Ingram Fire had never been tested like this. The deadliest disaster the region has ever seen.
I saw RVs being slammed up against trees and literally exploding. I saw children floating in the water begging for help that we could not reach. And that takes it out of you.
Are you okay?
I can't say I'm okay, but I'm going to do my job.
The Ingram Volunteer Fire Department hosted thousands of volunteers from around the world who recovered many of the victims, including from Camp Mystic.
Blackhawks landed down there on the back property, and I went down there and unloaded the girls and brought them up here. We really didn't have time to process anything. It was constant, 24/7, move, move, move.
Yeah, that's still hard for me.
Scout, come.
Lauren Sauls, a former Navy sailor and nurse, was one of those volunteer searchers who became an official member of Ingram Fire.
Does anybody go out there and search still?
I do.
You do.
Scout does.
Scout does.
Everybody comes home. Everybody.
Lauren and Scout, the department's first ever cadaver dog, have never stopped searching for the 2 flood victims still missing in the Guadalupe.
This fire department, what do they mean to the community?
Everything. I still bump into people at the market who are like, oh, Ingram Fire, you guys are angels, you guys, you know?
There's a difference between, hey man, I love you, I'll see you later, than turning around and going, hey man, guess what? I love you, and I mean it. It's a family. A lot of people call places fire stations. This is not a fire station, this is a firehouse, because we're family. And when you walk in the store and you're in any kind of need, you're our family too.
The family that never stops growing.
When I saw everything that was happening, I said, you know what, that might be something good to volunteer for.
Or serving.
Come on, bub. Good boy. Yes, good boy.
No matter what.
To a person in this fire department, we may bend, but we're never going to break. It's not going to happen.
The volunteers at Ingram Fire Department are not the only ones still searching for the 2 people who have not yet been found. When we come back, we'll introduce you to 2 men who spend their time on the Guadalupe River looking for Jeff Ramsey and 8-year-old Seal Stewart. But first, letters of love from a daughter to her mother days before her death.
I know she was thinking about me and that she wanted to say, I love you, Mommy.
On the morning of the catastrophic July 4th floods, dozens of people lost their lives in an instant. Parents, siblings, friends. Of the more than 130 people killed were 27 Camp Mystic campers and counselors.
Some of those girls wrote letters to their parents before the raging waters claimed their young lives. Amanda Henderson sat down with one mother who agreed to share those letters with us.
Mommy, from Blakely. Dear Mom, how are you? I'm good. Camp is amazing. Today I will do tennis. Tomorrow I will do horseback ride. I'm excited about land sports.
Every year, kids write letters from camp to home. Blakely McCrory writing these two to her mom, including this one that the 8-year-old used pink ink for. And it holds a special meaning.
Looking at the timestamp of this letter, July 2nd, that was her last communication to me.
Why did you decide, I'm going to open these, I want to read these, I want to know what's inside?
So it was important for me to know what my daughter's last words to me were, but I know she was thinking about me and as she wanted to say, I love you, Mommy.
I love you.
I'm so fortunate to have so many memories of her, photos, videos.
And in each one, you can't miss Blakely's sometimes toothless smile.
She loved to sing. She loved to act, especially the challenging characters. She was so sweet, but also sassy.
Lindsay's only child was one of the 27 girls who died when floodwaters ripped through Camp Mystic last July 4th.
Of course, I wanted more time with her. We all did. But we're treasuring the memories that we have of her.
That includes the memories Blakely's friends have. They've given Lindsay this book of handwritten letters and a Mother's Day collage.
They were so scared in those final moments. So when I see these pictures, I just try to remember that she was just so happy that she did have a full life, that we made sure she got to experience everything that she could possible. And that's what I try to see in those smiles.
Which is why Lindsay says she treasures reading Blakely's letters over and over, especially the personal request in her daughter's second letter.
P.S. Please don't give my Barbie dream house.
What was it about the Barbie dream house that she had to cross everything out and say, Mom, do not give this away?
Well, we were preparing to move, and I had her clean out some of her toys.
A little girl's final ask of her mother in letters that arrived home from a child who did not.
You can certainly understand how finding closure is difficult for families.
Absolutely. The two men you are about to meet are spending their time on their own dime on a quest to bring closure to the families of those who have not been recovered.
Here again is Jeremy Rogowski.
Up and down the Guadalupe and the forks that feed into it.
See what we can find.
They've logged hundreds of hours.
Take that with us.
Cleaning up the river they love.
I got center block right here.
Clearing out debris scattered by the raging flood.
Generators and toilets and tin and barbed wire and a little bit of everything.
Part of their mission to make local swimming holes safe and clear.
Kind of stuff you don't want to cut your foot on.
To describe what we're finding would just be the word random. There's no rhyme or reason to anything we're finding. It's like I'm calling something. Oh, there we go.
But it's what they haven't found a year later that keeps them going.
I guess it's a long shot, but it's not a hopeless shot.
Darren Potter is a local artist.
It's miles and miles and miles of river, you know, and looking for a needle in a haystack.
Looking for the two flood victims never recovered, Jeff Ramsey and Seal Stewart.
She's the same age as Seal is.
Ryan Logue has an 8-year-old daughter, just like Seal.
Every time I see her parents speak on TV, every time I talk to anybody in this community that doesn't feel closure from what happened, it makes it really hard to quit.
Ryan, who had never put on scuba gear before the July 4th flood, basically taught himself how to dive and has searched the murky waters several times a week, every week, ever since.
How's the visibility?
Depending on the day, you're anywhere from 6 inches to 4 feet.
6 inches is like this.
That's about right here.
Forcing him to often feel his way around, a daunting task that's turned up things somber and grim.
Kids' socks, their shoes, their personal effects that you can't forget.
What else have you found?
So you will find, we have found a lot of bones out here.
Bones, both animal and human, likely from Native American tribes hundreds of years ago, but Ryan says they still bag and tag those for DNA testing. So far, though, no match to the missing.
It's just I feel like I failed them. I feel like I failed this family. I feel like I failed the Ramseys. I'm one of the last people standing out here, and we haven't found them.
But despite the odds, painfully bleak a year later, their search goes on. And if you ask them why,
It just feels like it's something important to do.
the answer's clear.
So if it was my child, I would want somebody out looking for them.
Is there still hope?
There's always hope. But I do pray that the families are able to find a way to be at peace.
When we come back, how some families who lost their daughters during the flooding are finding peace and helping others.
This is our way to take something horrific and turn it into something positive.
And the push by families and lawmakers to make the Guadalupe River safer in the future. After the historic July 4th flooding, there's been an outcry to make the area around the Guadalupe River safer.
Jeremy Rogowski examines what's been done so far and what's still missing to protect lives in Flash Flood Alley.
Well, all of this was probably 40 feet of water above us.
Wow. A year after more than 100 people died, Tom Moser questions how a flood warning system's taking shape.
If I were Project King for a day, I wouldn't do it that way.
Moser is a former Kerr County commissioner and retired NASA engineer tasked with developing a blueprint for how it should look.
I wouldn't put sirens in this part of the program.
He says 8 outdoor warning sirens recently installed, a measure mandated by Texas lawmakers, are only as good as the predictive data that feeds into them.
So why not define all that stuff before you put sirens in?
Is the cart before the horse?
It's the tail wagging the dog a bit.
KHEU11 Investigates discovered only 1 new river gauge has been installed on the Guadalupe and only 3 new rain gauges in this part of Flash Flood Alley, meaning for camp season this summer, there's not a lot of new data to rely on.
I'm a big believer in the sirens. They need to be there.
Philip Bedian is with Rice University.
But the sirens are not the whole story. The sirens need some science in front of that technical input so that the sirens can do their job. This is the end of the storm.
Bedian has studied floods in Houston since the 1970s and developed predictive computer models that provide more advance notice to those in harm's way.
It works. It works real well here. It's going to be more difficult in the hill country, there's no question.
His team's developing a model for the hill country, but it won't launch until later this year.
For this summer?
Yes.
How much better off is that area?
Definitely better off. Is it a perfect solution at this, at that point in time? No. I mean, we've got work to do.
Is it perfect right now? No. We know there are holes where rain gauges need to go.
Jonathan Letts with the Upper Guadalupe River Authority concedes there are data holes to be filled.
We know we need at least 19 or 20 additional rain gauges.
But he defends the agency's decision to build out those in phase 2 of the warning system by mid next year.
Did you put the cart before the horse for this summer?
No.
Tell me why.
Well, the sirens are operational right now,
And are they the way it's going to be and the build out of the entire system? No, it's not completely done. But the sirens can be implemented and used right now.
Another key piece to the flood warning system is connectivity. The state awarded a $14 million grant to improve the wireless and fiber network here in Flash Flood Alley. A total of 10 towers will be upgraded or built from the ground up. But so far, only one has been done.
This is the River Hub.
In the meantime, the River Authority has launched River Hub, a color-coded threat level dashboard that consolidates all the current data available into one place.
All of this data feeding in together will give the public and emergency management the tools they need to make much quicker decisions than we've ever had in the past.
The lessons learned from the past, Mother Nature's fury, and man-made mistakes are what could shape this community's future and define it.
The legacy of the floods is emerging in many ways. Still ahead, how families who lost loved ones are honoring their daughters. Each of the families who lost their daughters at Camp Mystic have started foundations in their honor, supporting causes important to the girls. Amanda Henderson shares with us this legacy of love.
When we get together, we love trading bracelets.
It's why you see so many displayed inside the Dillon's home, each one for the 27 girls who died at Camp Mystic, including Brant and Lisa's daughter, Lucy.
Each one of these hearts is the girl's favorite color. And then this is Lucy's bracelet in her favorite colors.
You'll see a similar shade of blue on a patch next to Lucy's framed basketball jersey.
The LD7, and they put the Heavens 27 patch on the softball jerseys this year.
A tribute the girl with the toothless grin and signature glasses isn't here to see.
When you lose a child, of course, initially you're in shock.
That shock has sat with the couple since Lucy's death.
It's like a roller coaster, It's a roller coaster we're on.
That ride has led them to advocate for camp safety with the Texas legislature and search for a way to honor their oldest.
We began to worry about, oh my God, is Lucy going to be forgotten? What can we do to make sure that her memory remains?
Their answer is the Bright Like Lucy Foundation.
Fair to say she'd be pretty proud.
I think so.
Like Brant said, we don't want Lucy to be forgotten, and this is our way to take something horrific and turn it into something positive.
Which is sponsoring STEAM events, scholarships, and more.
We partnered with Live Like MV, which is Mary Barrett Stevens Foundation, and for International Corgi Day, which was early June, we matched donations and helped fundraise for the North Texas Corgi.
How do you balance it all? How do you make sure you have the time for all of this?
We don't have a choice. It's not that we chose this path, but we have to do it for Lucy and for all the other girls.
To carry forward a legacy for the daughters they want everyone to remember.
We know talking about lost loved ones and going through a traumatic event is difficult. We want to thank everyone who did. We're grateful for your trust.
And thank you for joining us for Hill Country Floods 1 year later.